Oh, you guys, I am feeling sick today, and so I feel like I want to do something impulsive. What if I did something completely wild? Like, what if I revisited my first failed novel, read it, maybe turned it into mermaid slut? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning. So I've had this video idea planned for literally years, where I take the first novel that I ever truly wrote and tried to query and get an agent with and reread it. I've also jokingly thrown around the idea of taking this book and turning it into a romantasy. There just has been so many similarities between this book and Fourth Wing that it's actually kind of funny to me. Would I keep it YA fantasy? Would I turn it into adult fantasy? Would I turn it into a romantasy? How would I go about doing that? What are the specific edits I would do? So on and so forth. So let's talk a little bit about the history of When the Sea Came for Us. This is like the 7th draft of this book. At this point I was done with it. I had written The Glass Witch and I was querying that, and I was like, okay, but I want to like memorialize my first book, right? So I printed out a copy just for me. I made a really crappy cover on Canva, and this is the one, you know, with my last name spelled wrong. Which, yes, I did not even notice that I did that until a subscriber pointed it out to me. You write a whole book and you perfect it. You make the cover, you format and everything, make it perfect, and then you spell your name wrong. Life, am I right? It's not published or anything, but it's like very much so my first love. I mean, I started my YouTube channel writing this book and documenting my journey with it. I have my entire query journey vlog that takes place, you know, with the entire life of this book. I found both of my critique partners writing this book. I found this community in general writing this book. It's been such a huge part of my channel. I guess I could read you like the back cover synopsis. This is like cringy. I don't even want to read this out loud, but it'll give you a good idea of what the book is about. In general, it is a YA dark fantasy about mermaids, Celtic folklore. Miera thought she was safe. The monsters only took the trim, able-bodied girls from the village. I can't. But when the deep creatures, capitalized, abduct her, Miera is not only cast into a world that prizes physical strength, she is torn away from her only PTSD solace, her family. Okay. Okay. Trapped and alone, Miera learns she's been selected to become a warrior for the Iceni, a nation of mythical land-dwelling marrows. Desperate to get home, yet crippled by her panic disorder, she must use her greatest strength and struggle, her mind, to outwit her captors and escape. But the marrow seas are cruel and no one is safe. Humans are attacked for sport. A northern enemy needs at the Iceni borders, and Miera soon discovers secrets, murders, and lies can corrode even the brightest mind into something different. Something darker. In a vicious game between humanity and monstrosity, Miera must find a way home, navigating the narrow path between staying true to herself or becoming the thing she fears most. Because sometimes the only way to beat a monster is to become one. Tell me that doesn't already give romantasy vibes. I have my original old notebook. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. Oh my god, this is so cute. Look, I even like made myself like little maps and stuff. First draft started May 7th, 2017 and finished August 20th, 2017. It's in that top corner right there. I just counted on my fingers and I was like, that was 8 years ago. Like I literally had to count on my fingers because I could not believe that it was 8 years ago. I was like, I must be mathing wrong. I decided that after college I was going to seriously start writing. I was going to be writing my like dystopian, it's like X-Men meets City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, and that was the book I was supposed to be writing. And then this just kind of like poured out of me because I really wanted just something dark and gritty. Oh my gosh, and you guys want to know a really fun secret? So Samantha, my current agent, I actually queried this with her and she requested a partial, bless her heart, and she did reject the partial. Rightfully so. That being said, I'm excited to get into this because there's still so much about this book that really excites me. I remember when I queried it, I kind of queried it as like a Jude Duarte from the Cruel Prince series. Like, she's very cutthroat and will do what she needs to survive and like reach her goals, and I love characters like that. I have some really interesting world building both in the human world and in the marrow world. I remember there being like a really interesting conspiracy in here. I also remember really being excited about the romance and it being really slow slow burn. In fact, I don't even think that I have the main character and the love interest kiss in this one. Oh my god, that just reminded me about the other aspect of this book that I'm like, oh my god, my main character is like 100% a slave. It's kind of like a Ember in the Ashes situation. Definitely pulled a lot of inspiration from that book, by the way, where it's like Elias and Laia, like she's the slave and he's part of the captor society, but like he doesn't like that and he's like trying to like take it down. Still, it's in there. Who knows how well it's done. But what I'm expecting is overwritten. I'm expecting an inactive main character. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna find pacing problems because again, I did not know how to plot. And I'm sure I'll find some lots of fun problematic elements that are just gonna make me cringe, but hey, you live and you learn, right? Okay, I had to go get a bookmark and I got my little glass switch one. This feels like such a moment, like reading my failed book with the book that I got published, like that. Symmetry, amazing. I forgot I did chapter titles. That's fun. Chapter 1, The Black Hour. I'm so ready for this. This reads like a first book. This is painful. It's one of those things where it's overwritten and you can really tell that I am putting my old bussy into trying to make these words pop. Should I read you the first page? We're at that point, right? It's just me and you. just the two of us. I should have been alarmed by the star's ominous formation. The way the brightest three blazed in the middle, encircled by the smaller in an almond-shaped ring. The three-pupiled eye gleamed above me, screaming a silent warning. A warning I dismissed as fable. I slumped against the cold alley steps, sleeplessness aching under my bones. The sky obtained a soulless pitch only possible during the black hour, the thickest part of the night when the inky silence whispers secrets of mania and murder, dissolving the line between the waking world and nightmare. Like, girl, do you need to have that many words to just say it was dark outside? It's funny though, because I do have my cadence down already. Like, while this is very wordy, I do to this day still like to play with sentence structure where I'm just like short, choppy, fragment sentence followed by a long run on. Like, I love to do that still today. So it's funny seeing it like so early on in my writing. And like the next line is, a breeze whispered over my damp skin. And it's like, okay, that's a pretty line. A breeze whispered over my damp skin. It would work if I hadn't have had so many other flowery sentences also before it happening. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna have some flowers, make them pop. You don't want every single sentence to just be absolutely extravagant. And I definitely did not understand that at this point in my writing life. Another thing that I'm doing in this book that I don't do anymore, like we'll have regular action, thoughts, whatever here, and then the things that she's saying inside of her head, like, "Cease, don't be stupid, Miera. Thistle's out late again from the pub, probably brawling again." Like, her internal thought is like this. I don't really do that anymore. It reads a little immature to me. I want to be able to show you that my main character is thinking she's being ridiculous instead of her having to tell you through showing her inner monologue that she's being ridiculous, if that makes sense. Alright, so I just read the first 5 pages and my first thoughts are, if someone had sent me this for a critique, right, or if I was an agent or something like that, I would reject this. And as someone giving a critique, my thoughts would be, this person has talent, but they're not there yet. That's what I would think. Like, this is not going to be the book without some revisions. My first turn off is just how overwritten it is. Also, from these first 5 pages, my main character is really not active. She is sitting down, she hears a noise, and she goes to investigate and hears people talking and sees some people being kidnapped. And that's all that happens in the first 5 chapters. She's not actively impacting the story at all. It is happening to her and she is witnessing it, and that's boring. I still really love the world building in here. It is so fun. So in this world, this planet is basically an entire sea. Like, there's just water everywhere and there's little chunks of land. And every year the sea rises higher and higher and just like devours whole continents. And then every season there's this thing called the seething, and it's literally where the sea like bubbles and froths and turns acidic, and everything in the vicinity dies, which is like terrible because all of the animal and plant life rises to the surface, gets washed on shore, and then it's like a big stinky toxic mess. And yeah, if you're a human and you're in the ocean at the time, like that sucks. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so ripe, and I didn't even get to use it. I don't even think I properly utilized it at all, but I had all this like really cool world building, and I'm like, this is so like cool. Oh, another thing is this is like, I guess what people call flintlock fantasy. So it's set in like the, I don't know what, like late 1700s or whatever. I think like big powdered wigs and flintlock pistols and basically Pirates of the Caribbean. Yo, this is sick. I forgot I wrote this in here. Okay, so I'm dropping some cool lore. Legend holds the deep creatures, capitalized, come to land during the quarter moon to feast upon the flesh of mortals. They consume all but the legs, preserve them into the next quarter moon when they use them to walk upon the land and hunt once more. How badass is that? I made a list of the tropes that I already have in the book, and then I made a list of tropes that I wouldn't mind revising the story into. I have a healing scene in this book. The dude gets hurt and the main character's gonna like fix him, and I know that's a thing like a lot of people love, so I've got that. Also, just in general, their love is like forbidden love because they're not supposed to be together. Obviously, they have the interspecies pairing. Which apparently, like, as a Twilight teen, I just love that trope, so that's staying. And then it's slow burn because literally in this book, they don't even kiss at this point in the story. So obviously if we're doing it romantasy wise, that's got to change, but here, very slow burn. Okay, so romantasy tropes that I wouldn't mind adding in are the competition, trials situation. We could add in an academy or a school situation. I do think that arranged marriage and fake dating is fun. I don't know how I would do that, but we can brainstorm later. Forced proximity is always really good. And then one trope I always really like is the we're forced to kiss or pretend to grope each other to like get out of a risky situation. It's like, you know, you're on the run from somebody and you're in an alley and you just grab the first person you see and like kiss them, and they usually end up being the love interest, and it's to like, you know, distract the person chasing you or whatever. I love that. I think that is so fun. Alright, so on page 56, my main character just got kidnapped by the mermaids herself. From here on, the rest of the story, all of this takes place in the mermaid city, town, whatever. And this is the part that takes place in the human island area. And I'm not gonna lie, I love the world building in this so much that I just like don't want that to go to waste. That is so good. And it almost makes me wonder, like, if I were to rewrite this book, should I have a POV, like, should I do dual POVs? Like, what if I did something spicy like that? Because like her best friend slash, you know, guy that she is supposed to marry. Okay, so here's the situation. They're like best friends, right? And they're the only two like rich people in this village, so they're supposed to like get married and blah blah blah. And they're best friends and they love each other deeply, and then they like get together and hook up, and they're just like, maybe this isn't for me. But it's like really awkward now because they have that history, but they love each other as friends, but they don't like love each other, but like they feel like they have to get married because of pressures and everything. I love that character. His name's Kiernan. I could give him POV because he stays in the town and has things going on. It's kind of like how in Aragon, when Aragon leaves and he like goes on his adventure, in book 2 you get what happened in his village with his cousin, and he has a really interesting plot line while at the same time Aragon's still like, you know, doing his training montages and stuff, and it's like back and forth, and I'm like, oh, I kind of like that, like what's happening in the human realm, make that interesting, make it like a good, I don't know, like a murder mystery almost even, while like this portion is all Hunger Gamesy. How fun would that be? Oh my god, I forgot that this book had like racial catfishing. I have one group of marrow in here that are like the bad marrow, and their skin color is like, it's not even skin, it's like, you know, fish scales, so it's like completely transparent. Like think of like deep sea creature transparency that you see in like octopus or like, you know, National Geographics or whatever. That's what their skin looks like, but like you can tell that they're the bad ones because that's their breed of marrow. They all look like that. So like this one girl who's like a mole, she's like, you know, infiltrating this group, and she's like, well, they can't know I'm like deep sea fishy, so she puts like something I call a citrine oil on her skin, so she just looks like not see-through anymore. And I remember there being like a big twist at the end of the book, like it's revealed, it's like, oh, I've been white the whole time. If I rewrote that, I would keep some of that. Maybe not the racial catfishing. I don't know, our romantasy is supposed to be like problematic anyway, so it'll fit right in. I'm kind of new to the Romantasy genre, so I feel like we should get on Goodreads and we should look at some synopses of popular Romantasy books so that I can kind of see what their plot is and maybe generate some ideas from that. The first one that I know of is Mistress of Lies, is one I read last year and I really enjoyed it. So this one's more, if I remember, of a political situation. I remember she's like from a rich family who's kind of like high up in power, building a network of spies, perfecting her blood magic. Okay, so this one is, yeah, this one is like political intrigue plot with a mix of mystery subplot because we're trying to figure out like who's doing the killings, like what's going on, blah blah blah. Okay, I'm actually interested in reading this one. It's on my TBR, so I thought I would give a gander at this. Ophelia's sister disappears. There's one way to save her. Deadly contests. Yeah, there's that competition thing that I feel like is really big right now, so that might be something that I'll write down. What else do we have? Oh, I saw some. Okay, I know this is a big one. Okay, I know this is one. This one's like dystopian. I know that one. This one looks familiar. Why does this look familiar? I heard someone talk about this. Ooh, Heartless Hunter. I have heard of this too, and I've heard good things about it. Let's see. This one has dragons. That one looks fun too. So we'll look at some of these. So, okay, Quicksilver. She's good at keeping secrets. She has a secret power. A fae. But like, what's the plot? Yeah, I don't know what this book is about. So we'll just, I guess, leave it. Shield of Sparrows. I feel like I've heard a lot of people talking about this recently. Slower and high stakes romantasy, perfect for fans of Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros. Enemies to lovers. God sent monsters to the 5 kingdoms to remind mortals they must kneel. Oh, it says bound to a future I didn't choose and a husband I barely know. So like arranged marriage situation? That might be fun. It has a lot to do with like spies and stuff. So I'm thinking it has like court politics as well. Okay, Fearless is the third in a trilogy, so let's go to the first one. Powerless. Okay, I've heard of this. She's the very thing he spent his whole life hunting. He's the very thing she spent her whole life pretending to be. Oh, Purging Trials. Okay, we have another one for competition. Servant in the Wings of Night. I think this one's like vampires, right? Oh my god, another tournament one. Maybe that should be a thing. Maybe I really should do the competition. That's hilarious. I mean, apparently that's what the girlies want. Heartless Hunter. Let's see this one. Okay, a Vapid Socialite. So that makes me think it is like court intrigue. Ooh, getting secret intel. Yeah, so it'd be like court intrigue, mystery. I kind of like that too. All right, I am now 90 pages in. I'm about to start chapter 8. So far, just our main character is so inactive. The foundation of this book, the plot of this book, how I set this up just fundamentally makes it so that my main character is inactive. Like, she is being abducted, and then there are 3 or 4 chapters in a row where it's just her getting there, describing the other people that she's been abducted with, the quarters in which they're staying, and the new people that she's meeting, both marrow and human. And it's just a lot of, I'm seeing this and this is happening to me. She's not doing anything. Also, the whole reason that her and the other humans are being abducted is because these marrow are in a war with each other and they need more soldiers. But I'm thinking, because like, okay, hear me out. Romantasy, right? I feel like a trope that's really big in Romantasy is competitions. And I'm like, okay, what if instead of them being basically stolen as slaves to fight in this war, what if it was just like a Hunger Games situation? And if I treat them kind of like mini celebrities, like, you know, Katniss and Peeta in the Hunger Games, that would give me lots of room for world building. She would meet a lot of characters. She could still be in on the political situation. It would give her a lot more opportunities to be in scenes with a love interest. That is just a thought that I am having. So I left off yesterday, halfway through the book. I am so bored. The inciting incident happens on page 48, okay? Right here. The next plot beat is supposed to be the plan. That, for me, happens here. So we have inciting incident, plan. What is all this? This is all inactivity. And when I say inactivity, I don't mean my character isn't doing anything at all, because she is. She's doing training sequences. She's working on her PTSD. She's overhearing conversations. There are multiple fight scenes and it sounds like it should be thrilling. but it's not, because none of this has any impact on the plot whatsoever. You could literally take my main character and pull her out of this book and the story would still be the exact same because she impacts nothing. I think when people would talk about like, oh, you have an inactive character, I took that as just make sure you don't have a character who's just standing around. Like, she's doing things, training, fighting, having conversations, all this stuff, but it's not active as in like physicality. Like, she physically can't just be standing there. It is structurally plot progressive movement. I think that if I ever worked on another version of this story, I mean, it's gonna need a complete plot overhaul. But I have the last basically 200 pages to read, so I'm gonna get through that today, and we can kind of get an idea for what I'm gonna plan to do restructure wise. So let's kind of start to brainstorm ideas, like what we could do, what we could turn this into, and how we could make it work. I have a couple different avenues for this. First of all, I've spoke before about how whenever I get a novel idea, I write it down on a note card and I just pop it in this big note card holder I have. And I pick the ones that I think I could somehow add to the story or make sense of it in some way. Because here's the thing, if I'm going to be rewriting, even if it's theoretically, if I'm going to be rewriting this book, I want it to be something that I love and something that like sets me on fire and something that makes me really excited, right? Because like originally I was so into this. I need to have that same exact amount of excitement for like the new version, right? So obviously I need to get things that I'm excited to write about. Okay, so 2 of these note cards talk about like a plot idea. You guys know I'm such a mystery subplot girly. So for instance, this one is basically a gender bend Count of Monte Cristo. Actually, this is one of my very first note cards I ever wrote down, which is very funny. It's a guy, he's put in jail, finds out later there was a conspiracy to put him there, and then he takes them out like one by one. I'm like, oh, that would be fun. This note card is essentially the same thing, except it is like an Agatha Christie, and then there are none taking out one by one. Same situation, gonna utilize those in the same way. Some of these are world building things. So this one says, a warrior people who gives prisoners a knife as a courtesy because the idea is if they are able to fight their way out, they deserve to be free. I love that. That's so cool. I could totally see my war-minded Marrow culture doing something like that. This one is an idea for like a villain, something I wanted to have one of my villains in some story do. It says, a bad guy in power kills someone and then makes their loved one wear jewelry made of like their death device of some way. So like shrapnel rope, a blade that was used to kill their lover. Make it very beautiful and dainty to offset the manner in which it was given. So I'm like imagining like, you know, I don't know, like I killed your husband, but like I make you wear his bones as a necklace or some shit like that, like wild. I'm like, I can see that happening in this book. This next one, not very original. I mean, none of these are super original, but like if you combine them and make them your own, whatever. This one is just like a proper noun. It just says the Bastards 3, and the idea is it's a name given to a group of illegitimate children who are all trained to be assassins or an elite group of warriors. I just kind of love that. That's kind of fun, and I have a few characters who I think could work for that. And then I have 2 concept ideas that would be plot heavy. I want to kind of keep these close to my chest because I might actually use these, you know, I mean, I assumed that they were going to be their own stories, but some of the concepts could be added to this. So this one is kind of inspired by the Jabaro episode of Love, Death, and Robots. If you've watched that like little mini sci-fi short series on Netflix, it's really good. If you haven't already, the episode is like 17 minutes, but it plays with like disability and being healed by disability, or like being magically healed of your disability, and like creatures, Marrow, silent sirens. It's really cool. So this one is kind of inspired by that. And then this one deals with bonding with deities and getting powers from deities, how that could go wrong if we have just like a very messy pantheon of gods. So this is another aspect that I could kind of look into playing with. We just came in contact with one of my favorite characters that I have planned in the series, and she is one of those like see-through mermaids that has like turned to the other side, you know what I mean? And I was just like, you know, I just think she's, the way I've described her is just so cool. And it made me start thinking, I was like, well, if I ever redo this, would I just have all of my mermaids have this completely transparent skin situation? And that led me down a YouTube rabbit hole, which luckily I didn't spend too much time on, but I mean, it's all research, it's all work. I found this channel, Life's Biggest Questions, and they had a video titled What If Our Bodies Were Transparent? And it goes through all the science of that and like evolutionarily like why deep sea creatures developed that. Now I'm just like, ooh, I kind of want to do that. Anyway, back to reading. Okay, I'm at the final battle scene, and it's actually not that bad. Like, girly can write a battle scene, okay? We found out that the bad mermaids were attacking, and then all of the humans, I don't know if I talked about this yet, but all of the humans are, through magical beings, being turned into mermaids so that they can also be strong and fast and as if you could outrun me. But my main character has been turned into a mermaid just as the city is being attacked. And she actually is active in this part. Like at the climax, she is helping. Like she's using her smarts, her brain that she had as a human already, because that's like her character arc. Like, oh, you have to be a mermaid to be able to be a good warrior. But she's like, no honey, I got my brain. So she's doing some smart military tactic thingy, and it's saving all their butts. Okay, I finished it. I finished this beast. What a slog. Where to even begin? There were quite a few things that I really still enjoyed and that I'm still very impressed with. There are some lines that are just absolutely beautiful. Some of the romantic tension scenes and the banter is really good. And the world building in here is so cool. I absolutely love what I did here. But the inactivity of my main character just absolutely kills it. Like, it's just so boring to read about because the main character isn't doing anything. So it's like, why do I care? In total, she was active 3 times in this novel. I counted. And if she had died on page 1 and I just continued writing the story without her, same story, which is a problem. So I got a pen and I got a piece of paper, and I thought we would do a little brainstorming exercise down below. I'm gonna write down some ideas, but also I'm gonna leave it pretty open-ended, and I want you guys in the comment section to tell me what you think and like kind of brainstorm it with me, and we can like write this book together. Okay, so we're gonna have my main characters, Mira, and then the love interest name is Keofi, and then I have the dude at home who she also has kind of a history with, Kieran. I think we should start there because for right now this is my most interesting situation. So we have main character, love interest, and best friend tension too between these two, because he loves her and like wants the best for her as a friend, and like he doesn't trust him and he's like kind of low-key jealous of him. So like I feel like we could play with that there. They each need a conflicting goal, so we'll need to brainstorm what that is going to be. Also, I think it's important to note that she is human. He is going to be Marrow. So the thing about Kieran is he is technically Marrow, but nobody knows it until he like falls into the water one day and like transforms. We'll say secret Marrow would be like a fun twist reveal to play with, maybe. Especially if he was like prejudiced and he like really hated Marrows, but then like found out he was one. Ooh. I also love the like, ooh, mystery parentage, like who you thought your parents weren't actually your parents, like trope. I love that, so that would be fun. Now let me come over here and write down some of the possible plot tropes we could have. Trials, competition. Obviously, if we're gonna keep with the whole like kidnapping situation, the Marrows could be kidnapping humans in a situation where they like put them in an arena just for funsies, and she's like kidnapped and he's like, oh no, I hate that this is happening, like this is so problematic, but like I also am kind of falling in love with her even though I'm part of the underground rebellion trying to get rid of it. So that's like a setup for a trial competition. Okay, maybe. We also have academy school, a warrior camp for learning how to become a Marrow, and maybe they're like, you know, transforming the humans into Marrows, so you have to go to like boot camp to learn how to be a good mermaid. I don't know, you guys come up with some good ideas down in the comments too. We're gonna do fake dating / marriage. We could do the whole thing where he's like nobility or something, and as like a treaty to end war, like she's given as the gift bride. Or maybe we could do it opposite, like he is given to the humans as the gift. Obviously all of these are gonna include forced proximity, so I don't even really need to write that there. I also, just because I love it, I want to add a conspiracy. Out of all of these, this is one that I would probably go with myself, but you can also combine the conspiracy with any one of these and it would go great. You know what I also love is the idea of a trial competition happening with the Marrow put on with human contestants, but I kind of like the idea of her electing to go into this competition rather than like being kidnapped to go in. So that way she has some kind of really good goal, like she needs to win for some reason, or she needs to just be in the Marrow society for some reason. Oh my god, conspiracy! What if like she's part of a party trying to take down the Marrows, like from the inside? Because now we have, hell yeah. Okay, here's my thoughts. So we're gonna keep the world building. The world is ending. It's absolutely being destroyed by water. Continents are disappearing, kingdoms are taking over other ones who have higher land so that they can like save their people. It's a whole mess. So maybe these people, these Marrow people, they have the gift, the ability to be able to turn humans into Marrows. So maybe the humans are like, oh, we need this magic. And the Marrows are like, no, honey, no, like you're a different breed. We don't care about you. So there's like a conspiracy group that is like, we're gonna send in somebody on the inside, James Bond them, and get her nice and cozy with the royalty. And maybe the best way to do that is through this trial competition that these Marrows put on. And so she's gonna get in there and she's gonna like, you know, not really like him. Maybe he doesn't really like her. I don't know. I don't know what that tension is. I don't know their life. And then she's gonna get in the trials and like things are gonna happen. But she's not a good warrior. I still want to keep the idea that she's like really smart. So maybe like she's perfect for the job because she can do something really smart. So like he's gonna be intrigued by that. Like, ooh, why'd they send this girl to fight when she can't even fight? Like, ooh, how interesting. And so she's gonna be like, her goal is like take it out from the inside. You know what I mean? Like, let's take him out. Maybe she even is supposed to kill him. I don't know. I think that's a popular trope too. We could totally play with. But like, you know, she's like, let's do it. But then they start to fall for each other and she's like, oh no. And what's he doing? I'm not really sure. There's always a chance that he could go into the competition with her, or he could have his own POV happening at home where there is like more conspiracy stuff happening. You know, the whole thing that's like the people that you think are the good guys actually in the end turn out to be the bad guys. Like maybe that's what his whole thing could be about. Like the people that are actually sending Mira in to do all of this stuff, like maybe they're actually the bad guys and he's figuring that out from the outside. But we also want him to be in close proximity with them so that we have better tension. Maybe it's like a team sport situation where, like, you know how in the Hunger Games there's like the sponsor and then you have the victor, and it's kind of like a Lucy Gray, Coriolanus Snow situation. Maybe that could be them, but it's like a team, a squad team, and for some reason he's involved and he's like another teammate in the situation. I don't know, you guys, I'm having so much fun. All right, update. I decided that while I love the paper situation, I needed to get on here and just open a Google Doc and just start like vomiting out ideas. So I want to tell you what I've updated to. I don't know how much of this I've actually shared. I don't think when I was reading through, I mentioned this, but my main character is cursed. So on this island of Peak, I said the world building was really cool. The ocean is cursed. The entire world is being consumed by this ocean that's just rising and rising and rising. And the whole thing is on her island, it's very secluded. So a lot of weird folklore has kind of taken place. They're all very superstitious. So no one goes in the sea. And if you go in the sea, because that's the domain of like the drowned god or whatever. And like, so if you touch the water at all, you're cursed. You are owed to the sea. Like no one wants anything to do with you because you're a cursed person. So of course my main character, when she was a child, fell into the sea and cursed her family. And the whole thing is, if someone falls into the sea when they're not supposed to, you're supposed to just let them drown, like don't help them. But of course her father dove in and saved her, so the entire town is like ostracizing them. They're cursed. Anything bad that happens to them, it's like, well duh, you saved your daughter, you took her away from the sea and the sea didn't get what it was owed. It was a whole thing. Okay, so in this new version, she's gonna be a little bit older. I'm gonna have her like in her 20s, and the whole thing still happens. Like she's still cursed. Things are bad, bippity boppity boo. The thing I'm gonna change is I want her to really want to change this curse. In my book, she doesn't really believe in curses because she's like analytical. She's like, I'm not really cursed. That's not really a thing. But in this version, it's gonna be a thing. She's gonna believe it. And in fact, she's gonna have proof because this curse is going to start killing the people that she loves. And my idea, like the people closest to her, maybe like once every year, once every 7 years, or however it works, I'm gonna have this curse take a person she loves, and it's literally like they're like choked to death, like water, just like seawater and brine just starts like coming out of them or whatever. So she's like, I don't know who it's gonna be. In her family, she's still got her dad and her grandma left. In her life, she has her best friend, and then she has her kind of romantic best friend love interest, and she's like, it could be any of them. Maybe I'll write it in a way so they all will have symptoms that they could all possibly die, and it's like, oh, she doesn't know which one it is because they all have symptoms. We're coming upon the year that it happens, like, oh no. So she's like, I have got to find a way to break this curse. And in this world with the Marrows and stuff, it's kind of like these people on this island know the Marrows exist because they're very superstitious, but no one else in the other, like, you know, no one else in the world really thinks Marrows exist. They're just like, oh, that's a fairy tale or whatever. But she knows that they're of the water, and their people have a specific lore about how these Marrows came to be from like regular human people. They like made a pact with a god. It's like a whole thing. So she's like, oh, they know about these curses. They know about these gods. I need to go to them and figure this out because they will have the answers. At the same time, then we have the love interest guy, and it's come to their attention because they've got this whole thing going on. Yes, the world is, you know, being drowned or whatever, but there's also this like terrible marrow other country who's like taking everyone over, and so that's their main concern. They have a prophecy that's like, there's this one girl, she's like the drown touched girl or whatever, she's human, but she's gonna be the prophesized one to like save the world, and they're like, yeah, we need her. So the marrows come to the island of Peak, that's what it's called, and they're like, hey girl, like, we need you to come with us because you're gonna save the world. And she's like, that's so funny because I actually need to come with you because I think you guys have the answers to my problems. And of course, the main love interest, Keofi, is gonna be like her handler, right? He's gonna be the one like showing her the ropes and making sure that she, you know, has everything she needs while she's there, which is gonna put them in like forced proximity situation. And with this take that I brainstormed, it's more of the academy than like the competition situation. And the original version, again, I said it was a little bit like Fourth Wing. It does have the academy, you know, training camp in general. So I'm like, let's just keep that. Let's just keep that. So she's prophesied to be this amazing warrior, even though she doesn't know how to be a warrior in the original version. She's just like really smart. I'm gonna keep that here. So she's gonna come here and they're like, you're our prophesized warrior, obviously. So you're gonna go to like Warrior Academy School. And I'm thinking from there, the plot is basically going to be a lot of like forced proximity because it's between her and him. He's like taking her to classes and, you know, just teaching her how to fight and all of these things. But at the same time, I want the plot to be like a little juicy. Like there's a conspiracy going on. There's someone bad in the academy who's like doing bad things, who might be tied back to like the bad marrows that are doing things, or maybe even people tied back to like the human land that have like their own machinations. And basically I'm thinking like some of the plot points from like Nevernight, if you've ever read that, because that's like an assassin school with a like pretty strong romantic plotline. I'm like thinking that vibe. So anyways, that's the main plot that I'm thinking. This obviously isn't the romantic-y plot, but that we'll just kind of improvise as we go. Right now I just wanted to get the main idea of what the story was gonna, the flow of the story, and then, you know, we could put in the romantic stuff later, but that's what I have. What do you think? Give me some ideas. If you have any better ideas, let me know down in the comments. Let's write this book together, because why not? Are we actually gonna write this, or is it staying theoretical? I don't know. I guess it depends on how obsessed with this idea I get, the good ideas I get from you. If you guys make me obsessed with the idea, who knows what's happening. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and for those of you who've been around for like 5+ years, I hope you enjoyed seeing me come back of When the Sea Came for Us. Order links to my actual books that are published are always down below, as well as the Patreon. If you want a little writing community, you can join that up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm actually a little obsessed with this right now. Oh no, I don't need this right now. Anyways, and I guess we might see you in the next one. I don't know. Bye.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor?